Welcome to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. We are a community newspaper based in Mid-Coast, Maine, and we provide the most comprehensive, in-depth coverage available anywhere of the 18 towns and one plantation that make up Lincoln County. My name is Juell, and I'm a reporter here at LCN covering the towns of Whitefield, Edgecombe, Damariscotta, and Newcastle.
And my name is Christina Wallace, and I'm also a reporter here at LCN covering the towns of Bristol, South Bristol, Nobleboro, and Bremen.
Last week, I talked to Belle Maroney, the Stewardship and Volunteer Coordinator at Coastal Rivers Conservation Trust. In this week's second segment, we discussed the history of the beloved fall traditions, AppleFest and Pumpkinfest. There's also a riveting poll regarding people's opinions of the two flavors around the office, so stay tuned.
Very scientific poll that just took place.
But first, here are some of the top stories from the Thursday, October 2nd edition of the paper. Wiscasset Area Chamber of Commerce Executive Manager retires by Charlotte Boynton. After a decade at the Wiscasset Area Chamber of Commerce, Pat Cloutier is moving on to a new chapter. She stepped down from her role as executive manager on Wednesday, October 1st. Cloutier plans to address some medical issues, travel, visit family, and pick up volunteering in her retirement. Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission Executive Director Emily Rabb said Cloutier has been a champion for the Chamber and the Planning Commission. Cloutier said she became involved with the Chamber at its inception. Her husband Russ Cloutier's contributions, like delivering the Chamber's guidebooks and greeting new businesses in town, will also be missed. Quote, Pat is the absolute best. She's also a trailblazer, having worked in traditionally male-dominated fields throughout her earlier career, including publishing and emergency services, Rapp said.
That's so sweet.
It is.
In news from Bristol, a humpback whale washes up on the shores of New Harbor, creating a 50-year connection. Catherine Thompson, owner of Thompson House and Cottages, checked her business email on Friday, September 26th, to find one of her guests had noticed a washed-up whale at a nearby shore. Thompson found the whale washed up in nearly the exact same spot that her grandfather, Daniel Thompson, found a whale almost 50 years ago. It was actually 6 days shy of the 50th anniversary that her grandfather found a whale washed up.
It's insane.
It is insane. Scientists from the Marine Mammals of Maine showed up at the scene to measure the whale and take samples for laboratory analysis. They identified the whale as a 30-foot humpback whale, but could not determine the cause of death, Catherine Thompson said. So it was hauled offshore by a local fisherman Sunday morning, and yeah, the rest is history. She did say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a whale wash up on your front doorstep. And
I bet.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
It's good that, she was the person there, because I feel like the vast majority of people would have no idea what to do in that situation.
Exactly.
So,
and she actually said that she had experience with marine conservation and things like that. So she did know the proper authorities to call. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. In some education news, Bristol, South Bristol school committees to discuss Education Service Center proposal. This month, members of the Bristol and South Bristol school committees will discuss the school restructuring committee's progress. Formed in August, the committee has been exploring the formation of a new, more independent administrative structure. The committee, which is made up of school employees, committee members, and community members from Bristol and South Bristol, is a result of AOS 93's restructuring. Following Bremen, Damariscotta, and Newcastle's departure into RSU 48, the board needed to develop a new office budget and cost-sharing formula for the 2025 to 2026 fiscal year. The Education Service Center, which would include only Bristol and South Bristol, would allow for the two towns to share resources and administrative services. The Bristol School Committee voted on the second part of the ESC forming application on Thursday, October 2nd, and the South Bristol School Committee will vote on Tuesday, October 7th.
Yeah, definitely something to keep your eye on.
Indeed. So much restructuring happening around these parts.
Absolutely. In some more somber news, a Whitefield man dies in a motorcycle crash. A 21-year-old Whitefield man died in a motorcycle crash on Vigue Road in Westcasset on Sunday, September 28th. Christian L. Snape was operating a 2007 Kawasaki Ninja 250 northbound on Vigue Road when the motorcycle went off the road and struck several trees, according to a press release from the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. Snape, who was wearing a helmet, was pronounced dead at the scene. Lincoln County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Brandon Kane said speed and driver inexperience seemed to be the contributing factors to the crash. The crash remains under investigation.
Very unfortunate.
Yes. Definitely not good news.
Yeah. Not what we love to report on. In some other news, a new Dresden fire chief hopes to build camaraderie community. Darren Delano has stepped up as Dresden's fire chief after almost 40 years fighting fires. The Dresden Select Board voted to appoint Delano as chief at their September 23rd meeting, where board member Jeffrey Bickford said there isn't anybody who, quote, knows our town and that cares about the fire department, quote, as much as Delano. He started as a junior firefighter in Wiscasset 39 years ago. Unlike many volunteer firefighters, he was the first in his family to join a department. Delano moved to Dresden in 2011 and started in the town's fire department then. As he settles into his new position, Delano said he wants his fire crew to feel like they have a voice. Building camaraderie is key in a line of work like firefighting, he said. Quote, I'm very honored that I was chosen for this. I don't take it lightly. I know it's a massive responsibility, but I'm going to give it everything I've got.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
In a follow-up to a story that we reported on last week, an Augusta man is arrested in connection to a Newcastle traffic stop. Authorities from the Office of State Fire Marshal arrested an Augusta man on Wednesday, September 24th, in connection to a potentially explosive device recovered during a traffic stop in Newcastle. Nicholas Presby, 43, was arrested without incident at approximately 11:40 a.m. on September 24th. He faces one count of Class C criminal use of explosives.
Yes. Yeah, I know that a lot of people around town have been very curious what the story was there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's good to hear that there's some resolution.
Absolutely.
Yes. In Whitefield, a Whitefield resident brings two passions together under two businesses. Andrew Fetterman is a jack of all trades when it comes to heavy equipment and earthwork. After graduating with a forest degree from the University of Maine, Fetterman worked at several jobs in the forestry and heavy machinery field. He joined the Maine Conservation Corps to create trails, worked as a forester, and worked on trucks as a mechanic. He decided to bring together his experience and passion into Sheepscot River Repair and Sheepscot River Land Service 3 years ago. Through the businesses, Fetterman and his employee complete a range of services, including land clearing, forest mulching, as well as inspections and repairs on commercial vehicles. Quote, the satisfaction of taking something apart and being able to put it back together is fun. Something about heavy machinery has always been second nature, Fetterman said.
Awesome.
It was honestly really cool to see, like, I don't know, it was just very clear that he does have, like, a strong passion for, like, both of these things, and the fact that he has been able to, like, bridge them together in these services is really cool.
Yeah.
And he seems very committed to just, like, helping people how he can and being realistic, like, with all of these kinds of projects.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so cool seeing how people can bridge multiple passions together. So.
Exactly.
Nobleboro will consider fish ladder proposals and adding a road to their maintenance project. The Nobleboro Select Board discussed potential fish ladder proposals and the 2026 Hazard Mitigation Project at their Wednesday, September 24th meeting. Select Board member Richard Powell met with the Nobleboro Fish Ladder Committee and Newcastle representatives to discuss the fish ladder. Powell said Newcastle Town Manager Kevin Sutherland will look into two engineering proposals to weigh specific costs and logistics. In other news, the board discussed adding Vanna Road to its hazard mitigation project. Board Chair John Chadwick said a full replacement of the culverts by the boat launch on Vanna Road is necessary. The culvert replacement on Vanna Road will join an interlocal agreement to replace culverts on Duck Puddle Road. The interlocal agreement is between the towns of Waldoboro and Nobleboro for Duck Puddle Road. So that is currently the only thing on the list. So Vanna Road will be joining that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
An underage drinking party was shut down and adults were charged in Damariscotta. The Damariscotta Police Department issued summons to 2 adults after breaking up an underage drinking party on Saturday, September 27th. According to Interim Police Chief Phil Tessier, Officer William Smith discovered 12 minors were in attendance at a party where underage drinking was happening. Elizabeth Landon Gray, 48, and Brett McHale, 51, of Damariscotta were both charged with Class D furnishing a place for minors to consume alcohol. Tessier said the department is still investigating to determine whether or not any juvenile charges will be filed. Quote, "We're hoping to make everybody aware of the dangers of juveniles and alcohol. With schools back in session, we wanted to just make people aware that it's a recipe for disaster."
Definitely a good wake-up call for people.
100%.
Definitely always want to be safe.
Yes.
Botanical art at the Botanical Gardens. This is by our Sarah Masters, who reports on Arts and Eats. The Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens Cafe is hosting a Women in the Gardens multimedia art show through Sunday, October 19th. The showcase includes Kylie Archibald and Lou Moulton, 2 recent graduates from the Gardens Botanical Arts Certificate Program, which includes 120 hours of coursework and a mentorship opportunity. Archibald's work draws inspiration from growing up on a blueberry barren. She drew scientific illustrations depicting 5 blueberry species. Other artists on display include Lincoln County painters Erica Qualey, Susan Bartlett Rice, and Caroline Claire Davis.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Seems like a cool show.
Absolutely.
And a good way to close out the Botanical Gardens season because they fully close on October 19th.
That's so sad.
Yeah,
I love the
know.
Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. Well, gotta go see Women in the Gardens to peace out for the year.
Absolutely.
This week's character of the county was Eileen Higgins in the piece entitled Eileen Higgins Lives a Life of Love by Sherwood Olin. Booth Bay resident Eileen Higgins is living proof that when you do something you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Higgins has become an indispensable part of Southport Central School over the last 25 years, where she worked as a long-term substitute and then secretary. Starting on October 1st, she now serves as the school's administrative assistant, keyboarding teacher, and technology coordinator. Quote, "I do whatever needs to be done. I've subbed in every class. I've taught art for like 6 months. I do nursing. I do everything. Cooking, whatever." End quote. Higgins works with her youngest daughter, Southport grade 4 to 6 teacher Julie Brown. And Phelan, one of her 12 grandchildren, is enrolled in kindergarten at the school. To learn a bit more about Higgins, pick up a copy of the paper or visit lcnme.com.
That's a very sweet story.
Yeah, very sweet to see someone who is so passionate about what they do.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all we had for news this week, and so now we will jump into our Pumpkinfest, AppleFest history lesson.
We have had a discussion in the newsroom about what our favorite fall flavor is. So, Allie, what is your favorite fall flavor?
I was really pondering this hard today. To be honest, I am not the biggest fall dessert person to preface, so I am not incredibly strongly opinionated in this, but I prefer pumpkin. Like, I enjoy, pumpkin bread, pumpkin cookies. I don't really mess with pie, so, that's off the table. But I would say in general, I'm going for a pumpkin latte.
Okay.
Above anything else.
That's fair. I feel like that is a very popular choice. I, on the other hand, as much as I love pumpkin, I have to go team apple. I feel like Team Apple is kind of an underdog. It's not widely talked about, you know?
Right. It's kind of the understated fall flavor. It's there, but it's not like the immediate association.
Right. Absolutely. So we got curious today and we went around the office and we took a poll to see what the superior fall flavor is, pumpkin or apple. And the results may shock you. So apple actually won.
Yes.
So we had 7 votes for apple and 3 votes for pumpkin.
That's a 40% difference. That's pretty intense.
Yeah. We did have some very strong opinions too. I won't name names, but there were some people very anti-pumpkin or very anti-apple. So
I can understand why some people are really like not riding for pumpkin, especially, you know, like the past 10 years or so. It can feel as if pumpkin has been thrown around far too long.
Yeah.
And maybe it's time for a new reigning fall flavor. I get it.
Yeah.
So I don't fault the apple lovers.
Yeah.
I just am not part of the team.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. I was shocked to find that apple actually won because I thought for sure it was going to be pumpkin. So
Me as well.
Now,
it's crazy stuff.
This poll only had to do with flavors. But now we're going to talk about the little battle of fall festivities we have going on in Lincoln County, AppleFest and Pumpkinfest.
Yes.
So I think it's appropriate that I'm the one covering AppleFest and you're the one covering Pumpkinfest.
It's worked out well.
Totally not planned. It just kind of happened.
Yes.
But we thought it would be nice to talk a little bit about the history of each event and how it came to be and all of that. So because Apple won, AppleFest will be going first.
Yes, yes.
So AppleFest is an annual tradition in Nobleboro that is run by the Nobleboro Historical Society. The first AppleFest took place in 1978, and it was to help raise funds for the Historical Society's financial needs. So this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was such a storied history.
Absolutely. So the original event, was hosted by Johnny Appleseed, and an apple queen was crowned.
Oh,
yeah,
an apple queen.
Yes.
Like with an apple scepter and such.
I couldn't find pictures of it, but I hope so. Like, I would love.
I hope so too.
I can just picture like the apple scepter and like apple crown and all of that.
100%.
So, yeah, but festival goers clearly love this fundraiser, as it quickly became a yearly tradition that is now hosted at the beginning of every October. So by the time you're listening to this, AppleFest will have already happened. But I will be covering it this weekend, and we'll talk more about it in our segment next week. So this festival celebrates the beauty of autumn with over 100 homemade apple pies, which can be purchased whole or by the slice, and other baked goods such as homemade donuts, along with the crafts, live music, and friendship. Lunch is also provided at the event. Families are encouraged to come, as there are activities for kids, which will provide a great opportunity for quality family time, especially with school now back in session. The 8th grade class at Nobleboro Central School also plays a crucial role in AppleFest, running their food table with popcorn and baked goods to raise money for their class project. NCS 8th grade homeroom teacher Luke Setmeyer works with his students as they help the Nobleboro Historical Society volunteers set up the gymnasium at the school, which is where the event takes place. The festivities will include a live bluegrass band, fresh apples from Beth's farm, give Wavis activities for kids, including face painting and games, and tables from local businesses and nonprofits.
Is there any apple bobbing?
I don't know, but I hope that there is.
I could understand why there wouldn't be, because I imagine apple bobbing is a liability nightmare. But I mean, It's AppleFest.
I feel like it's so classic, though. The Nobleboro Historical Society website describes the event as one of those laid-back and family-friendly gatherings that remind folks of the timelessness of such gatherings. So very sweet. It definitely sounds like, as someone who has never gone to AppleFest before, this sounds like a very family-friendly event. Yeah, just great for socialization, being able to spend time with your family, and eating some awesome apple pies and other good stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot of apple pies.
That is so many apple pies.
It's intense, but in a good way. Like I'm very intrigued. All the different flavor combos going on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I will be reporting more on this in our next week in our next podcast.
What are you most excited for?
That's a good question. I think I'm most excited for seeing all of like the different variations of apple baked goods that one could make.
Totally.
Because I know that there's more than just pies. I listed like donuts and more. So I'm very curious to see like what else happens, because I think you can get like very creative with with apple apple flavors and like combinations of apple and things like that. So I think that's what I'm most excited for.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I'm very curious for you to report back on what the more is. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll find out. Well, yes, even though it polled lower in the office, Pumpkinfest is definitely big doings around these parts. And even though it is much younger than AppleFest, it also has a very fun history to it. So the first ever Pumpkinfest was 18 years ago, but the seed, no pun intended, was planted a few years earlier. So Bill Clark of the Maine Pumpkin Growers Association, whose son actually works at the Lincoln County Publishing Company.
That's true. True.
He approached Buzz Pinkham in 2004 about growing a giant pumpkin at Pinkham's plantation to get more people interested in the sport of giant pumpkin growing. So from then on, they had an annual giant pumpkin seed giveaway in May to further encourage the growing. And the Pumpkin Regatta actually preceded Pumpkinfest. It was Pinkham and Clark's idea. There is a picture in the Lincoln County News' October 27th, 2005 edition that shows Pinkham inside of a pumpkin boat, and he is the only person on the water because it was really just him and Clark thinking, we have this 750-pound pumpkin. What is a better thing to do with it than to carve it out and turn it into a boat?
I feel like that's the most mid-coast Maine thing you could possibly do in the fall.
I really love the idea that they kind of just looked at the pumpkin and were like, do you want to ride in it?
That's great.
Right?
That's so great.
We love creativity.
Absolutely.
In the photo's caption, Pinkham actually mentioned that he wanted to turn this into an event, turn it into a regatta. And so the first ever regatta was the following year when Pinkham, Clark, and their friend Tom Lishness all set sail in their gourds to a 300-person crowd.
Wow.
And it very quickly grew, with more people riding in pumpkin boats and upwards of 1,000 people watching in 2007.
That's crazy.
Right? Yeah, kind of explosive. And so after the successful second regatta, Pinkham, Lynn Connell, Elizabeth Davis, Betty Fisk, Judy Linker, Ann Foskett, and Mary Kate Rennie all met to find ways for the community to expand the Great Pumpkin festivities, make it more of an opportunity for local businesses to get in on the action.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so then the first ever annual Pumpkin Fest was also in 2007, later in the year, and it was originally called the Great Pumpkin Festival. From its inception, the event has been centered on the regatta and decorated pumpkins by local artists. The first iteration included a pumpkin lighting, where all of the artists' pumpkin sculptures were lit at dusk on Saturday.
Oh, that sounds so pretty.
Right? Yeah, I love the idea of everyone just running around and lighting them up.
Absolutely.
Like many classic events, Pumpkinfest was canceled in 2020 because of the pandemic, and it really hasn't returned to its full force until last year when they finally brought back the storied pumpkin drop, which includes a gigantic pumpkin crushing a car or some variation.
Okay.
Yes.
As one does.
Yes. It's a very beloved event. I looked at the photo from last year's, and you just see like this car crushed in by a pumpkin and all of these people like crowded around with their phones and stuff.
That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome, and I know that our very own Maya Zewart's favorite event is the pumpkin drop.
So how does it work? Like, is the loser of the biggest pumpkin contest, did they take their car and that's the one that smashed?
That's a great question. I am not sure how the car is selected. That would be some pretty high stakes.
It would be.
You really got to grow the best pumpkin, or else you're kind of stuck around here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so that's just one of the many events. It's chock filled with pumpkin centric things, including, again, the regatta, the pumpkin parade. There's a pumpkin pie eating contest. There is the derby for kids to participate in. There's just a world of pumpkin events, and there is a pumpkin queen that I know for a fact she has a pumpkin scepter. So yeah, and for the first time ever this year, the festival's agenda includes a 5K, the Tour de Gourd.
Oh wow!
Yes,
so you got to burn off all that pumpkin pie somehow. So
exactly.
Yeah, they were really thinking ahead here.
They were. No, I like it. So yeah, this year runners will have the opportunity to race through downtown and follow a course through Damariscotta, and yeah, just get to run among the pumpkins. So yeah.
That's very exciting. What are you looking forward to the most about Pumpkinfest?
I am really looking forward to the regatta, and I don't know, just the concept of seeing people racing in pumpkins sounds really awesome to me. And, you know, obviously I don't want people's boats to not work, but I'm curious to see if anyone's boat fails.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like, you know, it's a low stakes situation, so I'm just excited for any drama that ensues from the regatta.
Absolutely. I would have to agree. I'm very interested in how that goes.
Yeah.
I also find the fact of having a pumpkin so big you can set sail in it hilarious. So I'm very excited to see that happen.
No, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be fantastic. So very exciting. And this is also your first time going to Pumpkinfest, or have you been before?
I have not been before.
Very nice.
Yes. So this will be my first time going, which I'm very excited about. I'm especially intrigued to see a giant pumpkin dropped on a car. And I will be asking whose car it is for scientific purposes and reporting on that.
Yes,
in case anyone's curious. So
we will get back to the people with all the news they need about Pumpkinfest.
Absolutely.
Pumpkinfest is not this weekend. AppleFest has the weekend to shine, and then next weekend is the heat of Pumpkinfest. The way off, the Commonwealth way off, is Sunday, but that is the only event. It's happening technically before the podcast airs, but
yes.
I will report back on any records broken at the Pumpkin way off.
All right, sounds good.
Yes, yeah, much to look forward to.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, you cannot set sail on an apple.
I don't think the giant apple growing community is quite robust.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would be so nice if you could have like a race between an apple and a pumpkin, but I don't think it would really work out that way.
Yeah, I wish there was a comparative. Maybe we need like a acorn squash festival.
Maybe.
Or something.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about a potential secret third superior fall flavor. So, maybe it could be acorn squash.
Yeah, I would really love a coffee that flavor.
I've been thinking that like ever since fall hit. I'm like, man, I could really use an acorn squash coffee.
Or just really scratch an itch that, pumpkin and apple simply cannot.
Absolutely. It's just such a missed opportunity. And to any local coffee shops who are listening, you should get on that.
Yes, 100%.
Do it for us.
Please. But yeah, I'm glad we could kick off the month of October with some history and, some important dialogue on these topics.
Absolutely. Definitely. Both of these events have a lot of history, so I'm very excited that we both get to cover them and report back with more information next week.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank y'all for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. This podcast is produced by Lucas McNally and Maya Zewert. Tyler Davis of Tyality Productions provides production support. Our theme music is by Stu Mahan and Lincoln County News Associate Editor / bassist Sherwood Olin. The Lincoln County News hits newsstands across the county every Wednesday afternoon, and you can also access our work online at lcnme.com. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion, please email us at info@lcnme.com. As always, we're grateful for the support of our readers and listeners in Lincoln County and beyond. It's been great catching up today, and we'll talk with you again soon.